All right, everybody, we're back for another Reup Productions podcast. Today we have Ed Henderson with Kamar Group. Ed,
how's it
pleasure to
going?
be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. I'm very excited to get to talk to you because for the most part, a lot of the people that I've been talking to have been newer agents, which is very nice. It's cool to get them on their uptick.
Right.
But to have a more established agent that's gone through a bunch of just business, how you've created process. So for me, in my growing stage of my own business, I love that because I'm going to eat it all up.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, how'd you get into the business? What attracted you to real estate?
Yeah, so, everyone says, oh, I've always been passionate about real estate. For me, it actually was something I was passionate about. When I was in school, I was an art major, so I wanted to be an architect when I grew up.
Cool.
Like, that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't happen because I'm in real estate, right? But it just didn't go down that path. But for the most part, it was always something that I just had an interest in. So when I first started in real estate, I actually was on the mortgage side. Cool. So I was doing lending. That was my introduction to real estate. I did that for a couple years, and that was around 2007 is when I started in the mortgage business. And it was like right during the subprime era when the market, right before it tanked. So I had just got into the market.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, let's do this. Yeah. And got really excited about the mortgage business, and then just shortly thereafter, I'm watching. We got lenders that are coming in, and they're just like, hey, we have this great program. Try to get this file locked, and then the next day we'd get a notification that bank was closed. So it was a really crazy time. And so for me, a couple years under my belt as a mortgage lender, I didn't really feel like sticking around. Right, yeah. I was more so like what's going to happen? Where is this going? Luckily for me, I had a friend who was also in real estate, and he was focusing primarily on rentals. Cool. And so we were obviously having dialogue all the time, and kind of talking about the business and where the market's going. So for me, it was just like, he's like, you should just come over here and do rentals with us. I mean, we're crushing it. and I'm like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
And that was me just jumping into real estate. And so and that's how I started. I started off just doing rentals in a time where, homes weren't selling, right? There was a lot of investors that, bought these, condo conversions or they were building condos, and they couldn't sell. So the rental market was obviously the way to go, because now you have all these properties that they couldn't sell, and what do? You rent them out, right?
Yeah.
So the rental market in Chicago was insane at that time.
So it was all based here in Chicago?
Absolutely, yep. Cool. Everything was in Chicago. I'm born and raised here, so nice. I've always practiced real estate in Chicago.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there a specific area in Chicago that you gravitated towards, or were you just everywhere trying to get those rentals?
Yeah. So for me, just living in Chicago, I grew up in the north side in Rogers Park. So that was where area. Yeah, that's where I spent, my childhood. And then, as I got older, I lived in Logan Square. I lived in Bucktown, Humboldt Park, Streeterville. So, I've been all over the city, right? So just having kind of an understanding of the city and just really kind of knowing those neighborhoods, it was just more or less like, hey, kind of get in where you fit in for me. So the offices that I worked out of, one was in Rogers Park, and then one was in Westtown.
Cool.
So obviously we just kind of focused in those neighborhoods primarily, and Westtown was probably like one of my biggest areas that I focused on when it came to rentals, which consisted of, the Bucktown area, not Logan Square, but Bucktown, Wicker Park, Humboldt Park, that whole sector.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think the kind of moving around and seeing those neighborhoods was like a beneficial thing to you, and like to you being able to sell?
Yeah, I think with anything, right, when you're selling anything, knowing about it where you can actually talk about something passionately, is always going to help, right?
100%.
So if I can speak to something that I've actually experienced and say, I've lived in this neighborhood, I love this about this neighborhood.
I love
right?
this spot.
Yeah, this is my favorite, pizza spot or whatever. Like you can, really speak on it. Obviously, is going to make you more knowledgeable and also kind of resonates better with your audience, right?
That's like such a good. When you say that, it even translates to like doing this. Like I can't tell you. Initially, when I started selling more, I like had it in my head, but I was never able to like articulate it.
Yeah.
And the more I've been talking about this, doing this podcast,
right.
One of the reasons I love doing it, without even me realizing it, it's a sales teaching thing. It's a sales actual thing.
Yeah.
And it's just allowed me to talk about my business more passionately and with better expertise. And it's crazy to me how that's translated and how that's actually like it's led to more business.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of the world we're living in too nowadays, right? Where you're able to have a platform. So whatever it is that you do, you have a platform that you can utilize so that people can know about it. You can talk to a larger audience than before. So it just makes whatever you're doing a lot more efficient, I think. And then again, it's all about building your business, right?
Yeah.
So if you can do something that you can collaborate with agents like myself or whoever, it's just gonna help your business in the long run. Yeah.
Not only the reach, but even the relationship that.
Right.
Even though me and you, we did a shoot with Tyler Cornelius. Shout out Tyler. No free shout outs. We'll be talking later. I've been saying that all day. It's just great because now I'm building a rapport with you.
Yeah.
And vice versa, and it's just in a 30-minute conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like that's why I love the long form because it's teaching you how to speak about what you're doing, and then also like building rapport.
Yeah,
and that's what business is.
Has anyone ever interviewed you through these little podcasts that you've done?
I've been interviewed by my business partner.
Okay.
Our 10th one we did together.
Nice.
And it was like just us like talking about social media and like what we see and not like talking trash to people, but like being like, if you're not using video, here's like, we're doing it. And this and our first year we did very well. Yeah. And it was just consistency. And don't get me wrong, we do really good stuff, so that helps, but it's...
So where do you just see from, just as the market is changing for mortgage professionals, real estate professionals, anyone who's in this industry, like how do you see, I guess, how it's improved their business from your side of things by them using someone like you?
Oh, I think it's improved their business on several ways. Like if you're not a local expert, you get a chance to show your knowledge about your product. Or real estate or mortgage or a loan officer, whatever you are. But in addition to that, I've learned about how the nuances of each business is a little different. So a good example would be like a loan officer or a real estate attorney. They're marketing towards you. Right. So they have a different understanding of what social media means to them. Right. They want to act like they want to not act, show that they know what they're doing. But at the end of the day, they want to show that they're cool. And then like they're a good person to work with. Yeah. A real estate agent, right? You're marketing towards the consumer. So I think the smartest play is education. And then from there, you build your foundation, your house off of how you are, what are some of the things that you like. So people are like, oh, I get what you like, but I also at the back end know that you're smart. Yeah. Right. And I think that's where the kind of nuances to everything lies. So yeah, that's how I think I've been able to help people understand those simple ideas, which if we talk it out, it's not that complicated. No. At the end of the day, it's simple stuff we're doing here.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's about, right? Helping the consumer understand like the process in most cases of what we do, because for us, we talk about it every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, this is the process, and we don't realize that there are a lot of people out there that are maybe just not informed
Totally,
with
yeah.
the little things of what it takes to buy a home, or just understanding the market, good times to purchase, when is a good time to sell, like all these little, like you said, nuances that maybe the average consumer really is not aware of. It's our job to inform them,
Yeah.
and that's why we try to use these platforms more so now than ever.
That's been such a thing for us too. I love that you brought that up. Is that like informing people on what? Sometimes I'm like, dude, they know we're, and I talk, and by
Yeah.
dude I mean Memo.
Yeah.
Like, they know what we do, and he's like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. He's the yin to my yang. 'Cause sometimes I'm so bullish,
Right.
And he's sometimes like, wow, take a step back.
Let's take a step back. Yeah.
You know, and he's a little bit older than me, so I think that's always nice to have like a because we're business partners, to have a partner that.
Yeah,
You know,
gotta rein you in.
Yeah, because I sometimes jump too much, and he's like, "Look at the picture. What's happening?"
Yeah,
They don't know exactly what we do. We need to start doing that.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, "All right, let's run that way."
yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah.
How
definitely.
right? We're in a service business, right? Both of us.
Yeah.
How do you figure that out? How did you figure out like? That you are in a service business, and like what's your philosophy on being a service provider, and maybe the hospitality of it all.
Yeah, and so now it's funny you asked that question, right? Because so for me, when I started off, I was really heavy in just prospecting, even on the mortgage side, right? I was cold calling, and I had our company that I was working with had licenses outside of Illinois. So we were calling Florida, Maryland, Delaware, and we're cold calling people to refinance their home. So it's like, how do you break through those barriers, right? You have to be really skilled to get to that point to where you can have a conversation with someone who you're not able to meet in person. So that's where primarily I just focused my business on, is just being really skilled at being able to communicate with prospects over the phone, and then it just carried over into real estate. But yeah, but to take that a step further, so now I'm a real estate agent, and it's like the market is so different, right? Because you need to communicate to an audience to let them know, like, hey, this is what we do, and that's why we're using the platforms that we have available to us. There are different types of agents. You have agents that work a sphere of influence, right, where they have all their friends and family, and then they focus on those people, right? Yeah. Like I said, I'm more of a prospector, so I focus on building new relationships. Over the years, I've built a lot of my business on working with investors too. Cool. So that's another, way that I reached out to a lot of clients. So for me now, what I try to do is use social media as a platform to educate, and also kind of keep it as a reminder for people who are in my sphere that, hey, I'm in real estate. So it's almost like not about just trying to sell someone, but just keeping them, giving them a reminder. I'm here.
That's such a good point. Is I love to tell people, foundation should be education, right? I think but we need to answer a couple basic questions with what we're doing, who we are, what we do, where can you find me? And if we nail those, we like that, again, another foundational piece. You start nailing those, then you can branch out and do more things that are more interesting or maybe fun, I like to treat social media like it's my business. So I'm not into I don't want you to be doing trends, or if we're going to do a trend, it's going to be a trend that you make into a style that is reflective of business.
Right.
Because that stuff is I don't need you dancing.
Yeah.
Unless you've shown the whole time, I love to dance, and then the trend works, okay. Yeah. But I think too many people think that they're influencers, and at the end of the day, you're not. You're a business.
Right.
Let's start acting like it.
Yeah.
And what am I here to do?
Right. For me, I think you have to be authentic to yourself, too.
Authenticity, yes,
it's key, right? So I don't even know his name, but there's this news anchor guy, that he's all over social media, and that's his thing. He loves dancing, but that's his thing, and he literally has choreographed routines, and he goes all out. For me as a real estate agent, I'm not going to get up and dance. I like to have fun at times with my content because I'm like a jokester,
Good.
and a lot of people don't get to see that side of me. So I don't want to, portray it like this. Oh, I'm a robot and I sell real estate. You know what I mean? Anybody who knows me knows I'm a jokester,
Cool.
and so like I like to keep it light
Yeah.
and play around. So if you look at my content, you'll see like there's some funny stuff, but also then there's a message behind it
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right? I can make a joke, but then if you read the message, you can see how I kind of bring it full circle.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think I think that's important, right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how I am and how I kind of like to put out content. Just because I don't want to bore people with like, hey, just sold, just listed.
That's just a stroke of the ego,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
People
That's-
don't care.
Yeah, they don't care
I
at
don't
all.
care. Reality is, I mean, if I'm not knocking anyone who does that, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I think if I flooded my timeline with that, people would just,
I mean, I hate it.
yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah, no, I tell all the people I work with, like,
No.
you can do it. Do some of it. Like, again, if you're doing
Right.
like a tack of a bunch, sure.
Yeah.
But like, if that's how you're doing, it's just a stroke of ego.
And I think too, I think agents are very lazy in that way,
Yeah.
right? It's so easy to go to a closing and then like take a picture in the little frame with their clients, like, hey, just sold.
Yeah.
But how about instead of doing that with your client, why don't you do a quick interview with your client and say a video testimonial, and
Yep.
say, hey, can you just tell me really quick how your experience was working with me? And that would go so much further than taking a picture and saying that you just closed with someone. So, I mean, I think in that regard, I mean, if agents really want to like step their game up, they're going to have to be more creative because people are just going to stop tuning into everything that they're putting out there.
Well, yeah, I think, 100%. I totally agree with that. That is something to like get people to do more. It's like, dude, get testimonials,
Yeah.
because all that stuff all funnels people back to you, funnels you, and all those things, like, as well as like if you have a website, have a thing that has your brand, who you are as a brand, the agents, like, I can't remember. You have a team, correct?
Yeah.
I'd love to go down that rabbit hole with you as
Okay.
well, because building a team and figuring all that. But let me finish my thought.
Okay.
Is all that content just funnels people back to you. And if you're playing a game like I like to play, is you can funnel all that stuff back to YouTube.
Right.
Like, okay, get everybody to go to YouTube, where I then can start getting ads, where I then can start getting paid for my views. And now my long form content lives there.
Yeah.
And everything's funneling back there.
Right.
Pro tip, that's what we do with it, which is why we're putting such an effort into going down this road.
Right. And that's the right way to do it, and you kind of watch how like some of the top performers do who are on social media. They have the long form content, then they cut it down to smaller clips, that they can put on different platforms. So I mean, if you're doing that, I mean, it's very scalable, I think too.
Yeah, 100%. Because this, to us, like, if I stop and do 2 of them, I spend the afternoon, but now I have 2 done. And there are so many pieces of content I'm going to get from this, and then I'm going to repurpose.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a big thing a lot of people get nervous about, is repurposing stuff. So,
In what way? What do you mean?
well, if you make great content is timeless.
Okay, yeah.
The same thing you said about a good principle about real estate, that's going to hang true in 5 years.
Yeah.
If you're doing the right thing, right? If you're not riding the trends of everything,
right.
but you're giving good, solid advice, that good, solid advice is still good, solid advice.
Yeah.
And that's when I would read, like...
Right, no, that makes sense.
And people have goldfish brains. You know what I mean? Like, like...
Yeah, like, well, we're the attention span of our society today is it's very, you have to, be precise. And like you said, when you have a long form content, it's great for a certain audience that wants to tune in. But then there's going to be little nuggets throughout the course of this conversation that you're going to be able to take and say, man, that was golden, and then you could repurpose it for a smaller clip, and someone's going to get a lot out of it, and then that might urge them to want to go watch the full video, right?
Yeah, I mean, even use it again in 2 weeks. Put a different thumbnail on it.
Yeah.
Use it again. Use it that short again, because no one's going to remember it.
Right, yeah.
And that, I think is another tip that people just don't do.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. I think again, like too much of this stuff I think is overthought. Like,
I think so, and for me, that was kind of how I was at first too. I guess I would say I'm a perfectionist, so I had that anxiety at first, like I don't want to put out a video because what if I say something wrong, and or if I don't look right, or and so I had that anxiety about it, and that I just had to really kind of, like I said, I got in doing videos that I thought were light and fun. Yeah. And then as I got more comfortable, then I was able to, have a more broader, a view of kind of what I'm interested in, or the message that I'm trying to get across. So now I'm just, as I get more comfortable, I'm kind of enjoying the platform, and I'm getting good feedback too. Good. So that's important, crazy. Right? So when you get the good feedback, you're like, okay, I'm doing something right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels good, because everyone likes it to be acknowledged, and especially if people are noticing what you're doing, and they're giving you like, man, I see the quality of your videos has improved, and they're like, who are you working with? Who's editing your stuff? And so that means a lot. And like I said, it just makes me know that, okay, I'm on the right track.
I think too, even with that, the conversation, the attention that you're getting from it is that top of mind.
Yeah.
Like that is what you're going for. That stuff will lead to leads.
Yeah.
Like exactly. You might not be seeing it, and that's the thing for people is like they want their return on investment on all of this so quickly, and it's like this is not the short-term game.
Yeah.
This is the long-term play that helps you build. It's like the snowball effect.
Right.
You have to keep grinding at this, which sucks, but at some point you're going to be so far ahead with content, and all these kids coming up, my generation, right, the millennials, the Gen Zs, all they're going to do is social media. They're going to go to find you on social media, and if your stuff doesn't look good or doesn't look well produced, it's going to be a turnoff. Yeah,
absolutely. It was funny because I when I first started doing some of the videos, a friend reached out to me, and a different realtor from a different state, and he started like posting stuff, and the funny voiceover videos, and he's like, right away, he's like, nothing's trending, I'm like, oh, it doesn't quite work that way. I mean, it's a lot of work that you got to put in, and again, I never did it to try to get a video to trend. It was just more or less just stay on top of mind, like I mentioned earlier.
Soldiers.
That's it.
That's what I call them. When you're sleeping, your real content that's education is selling for you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been so many nights, and I'm sure you've done it. I've been up late at night. I get on a page, and I'm like, oh, and then I watch 10 videos.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by soldiers. Ed just sold me again, sold me again. And then I think Ed.
Right.
It's like, I think it's that simple.
Yeah, it is.
So I love it. I love this conversation. I'm glad you started interviewing me. That was the difference. That was different.
I wanted to switch the tables up on you a little bit.
Talk to me more about building a team. Because business for me, I think this is transcendent into whatever industry you're in, so we can keep this broad. But business, building a team, delegating. Talk to me about how maybe that came really easy for you. Was that a struggle? I know for me, it's been a nightmare because, like maybe I am a perfectionist, and I want people to do it the way I want them to do it, and that's not always possible. Yeah.
So, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. So currently I'm on a team, right? So I don't want you to think that this is my team. But what I've done over the time of my real estate career, and I mentioned this in the interview we did last time with Tyler, is that, over the course of my career, I functioned several different ways, right? Yeah. It's been over 15 years. I tried it every different way. I've been on top teams, solo agent. I've ran my own team with an admin, and a showing agent. So I've done it every different way. And then back in 2010, I started to invest into real estate when I was flipping properties and just became more of an investor. And at that time, it was so much to juggle, right? Because I have all these projects going on, and I'm trying to, work and still function as a real estate agent and try to, run a small team. But then also, when you're trying to manage a project, it's a lot, so I realized that, something has to give. So then that's when I decided that, okay, being on a team is probably the best way to leverage my time, because now I have a support staff and, an admin team, and also, the support of the rest of the team to kind of help me do other things that I want to do. So now I can leverage my time and still be an investor, but still function highly, be highly functional as a real estate agent. So, I guess what I would say, in that regard is that I think that if you are trying to build a business, and you want to, really scale it up as a real estate agent, the only way to do it is to have a team, and a lot of people think, well, I don't want to be on a team, or I don't want to, because there's always the commission splits and things like that. But, I think if you're producing at a high level, that becomes irrelevant, right? Because for more so than not, there's only so many deals you can do on your own by yourself as a solo agent. I start drowning even on a team, because I'm just like, I got my phone's constantly ringing all the time. Getting all these showing requests on your listings. You have showings of your own. You're doing your day-to-day of your prospecting, follow-ups. So it's a lot of activity that's involved with being a real estate agent. So having a team just makes it a lot easier. But when you think about a team, you think about every business in the world, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, they all have teams, right? You don't go into the doctor's office and the doctor's not meeting you at the front door, right? He has a receptionist, right? He doesn't come in and take your blood pressure. He has a nurse or an assistant to do that, right? So anyone who wants to function at a high level and run an organization, you need a team to do it. Yeah.
How was it for you letting go of some of that control? Was it just so necessary that you're like, just take it, do it, figure it out?
It's hard, but that's when, if you know you got good people in place, you can kind of rest assured. Where I still micromanage, I'm not.
It's hard to stop.
Yeah, and I'm always like still got my hands on all my deals. Where I have the option to use my staff to write up contracts, but I'm still very hands on. And for me it's like second nature. So if I need to write up a contract, I'll do it really quickly, just because that it just saves me time. But if I'm out on vacation or out of town, I can just make a phone call and have someone on my team do it. So that's the beautiful thing. I'm not like chained to a desk where it's like I can't leave or I can't enjoy my personal life because of my responsibility as an agent.
That was something that was very difficult for me to stop doing, because, and I joke with Memo, it's like I like the pain.
Oh yeah, what do they call those, masochists?
I mean, I guess I'm a masochist. But what I mean is, I like that I'm in the nitty gritty, and like there's something about something about being in the hustle of it all that like that's what grinds my gears. But I'm never gonna grow. I'm never gonna make this business bigger if I'm the one doing everything. And you have to relinquish control. It's like you said, and I actually, it's funny that resonates with me really well too, because I find myself, when I'm at my busiest, is when I feel like I'm functioning at such a high level, right? When I feel like I don't have enough going on, it's like my brain just slows down so much. But if I have so many projects going on, I feel like I'm able to execute at a high level. It's weird how that works. If not, I slow down, and when I slow down, I feel like I always have like a freight train in my head. Of like the train's going, and then if something's off, like it slows down, then everything piles up. But it's just the way we're built. But it's good. It's allowed me to keep my freight train onto new things, like selling. Cold calling has been something that I had to start doing too, because at the end of the day, social media isn't a one-stop thing. Like this isn't going to solve all our business problems. Calling people, going out and meeting them, doing things, joining a BNI group, all of those things together, plus emails. Like that's what gets you to
Yeah.
where you need to go. It's not just one thing. There's not a quick fix.
Yeah, it's like what we say in real estate. There's working in the business and then working on the business.
Yep.
You know, so there's your activities that are actually going to make you money, but then there's those activities that are going to help build your business so that you can eventually make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, this year has been, it was really the end of last year, and it's moved in and it's morphed, and we're like, I don't know, I've seen the light, and I'm like, okay, now this is, it was like 2 years of fighting it, and now I'm like, all right, I'm done with that.
Right.
I'm done with that shit. I need to do something else because I'm ready. I don't know. I've matured enough. I've like grown into that next thing.
Yeah. Where do you see your business going, I guess, from here?
I think from here, we're going to keep, I think what we've always wanted, and this is something my brother asked me, he's like, what do you want? What do you want from all this? Mm-hmm. Because there's been a lot of hard times, like with any business.
Right.
We're still like getting our foothold in. Mm-hmm. He's like, what do you want from all this? And I think for me, I want to have a solid business that like can stand the test of time and can be reliable, and I can build good relationships that help people at the end of the day make themselves a little more money and build relationships. So if Reup isn't the final destination, which it might not be, I'm still fairly young, but once we build this to a specific, it might not need me anymore, right? It might run on its own merit. So build the relationships that are going to help me in the next, whatever that is. So, like help me build it for now, but also like morph those relationships into something else. And I'm still really deciding on all that. Menlo's like, man, I'd love to do documentaries, and which I think would be fun too. Mm-hmm. I just like creating stuff. I think that's kind of the hard part of it all. Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of it too. I mean, you have a platform where opportunities are endless, right? Especially when you're creating content, like you said, if you're creative and you have ideas, I mean, that can spin off into anything.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah,
that's
which
awesome.
also needs to be like, okay, what are we? Let's bring it back here. What are the focus? Yeah. And then for us was real estate. We're going to start here, and now we're starting to look up in our peripherals. Let's go more corporate. Mm-hmm. Let's help them do events, help them build their brands, because unlike real estate agents, usually their marketing budget is very consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of in our direction. And I don't know. I feel like too many people are supposed to have an answer, and maybe I've always thought I needed, and I don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't think it is. Because you're doing something that you like to do, right? Yeah. So you're passionate about it, obviously, and it's not like you're just sitting around with cameras like, what should we do? I mean, you're actually, you're out there, you're working, you're being proactive, and then when the next idea comes along, you can work towards executing it.
Yeah.
So
good. Thanks for the reassurance.
Yeah, I mean,
you're like, isn't that what we're all doing?
No, exactly. I mean, that's life, right?
Yeah.
We there's always going to be something you're going to aspire to do, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, even for me, being in the business for a while, I'm going to have aspirations to doing other things related to real estate. And so once the time comes and I'm ready for it, I'm going to be on to the next thing. But in the meantime, I'm happy. I'm doing what I love to do, and just keep trying to be great at it.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to touch base, and I won't keep you much longer. But I do want to ask you, because cold calling for me it's now something I don't mind doing, but it was like something I was terrified to do. Do you think that for you how did that help you in your business, in like your journey? What do you think like that allowed you to do?
Yeah, so I think in anything that you do related to communicating, once you are comfortable and you're confident and you know what you're talking about, I think it becomes easy. That's it. Okay. It's simple, right? If I'm calling someone and I'm not confident in what I'm trying to portray, the message that I'm trying to portray, then it's gonna translate over the phone, right? The person on the other line is going to know, because first you have to learn something, rehearse it, be very good at it, and then have that message in your head and be able to translate that message to someone else. Yeah, basically. So once and that's what we do a lot. We do a lot of training here, where we got a whole crew that comes in Monday morning, and we that's all we do is we get on the phones at 7:45 and we call. Same thing on Wednesday. We do the same thing, and then we do role play on Tuesday and Thursday. So what that does is it gives us all of us a chance to kind of go over some of the objections that we've dealt with.
Yeah.
And, you know, if someone's stuck and they're like, listen, I'm keep getting this objection, how do you handle it? Yeah. Everyone on the call is getting their chance to say, listen, this is what I say, this is what I say. And, you know, then there's always going to be ways to handle it, but by having a support group, so to speak, right, or, you know, accountability group, we're all learning from each other. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just feeling confident. And, you know, everything that I say over the phone is because I've practiced it for hours. Yeah. Right. And so it's not hard for me to get on a call and someone says, you know, they might curse me out in the first couple seconds. Why are you fucking calling me? You know, and they're yelling at me, and you know, I'm like, you know what? I totally get it. Yeah. I understand you're frustrated. Yeah. You probably already received 20 calls from other agents, you know, and then you disarm them. Yeah. And from that point, then you can kind of go into exactly why you're calling. Yeah. But if I try to get my point across and I hear them, like, you know, agitated, they're probably just going to hang up on me. Yeah. You know, but as soon as I disarm them, you know, then I'm able to talk to them. So there's ways to handle it, and that's what we teach.
I need to come in here for one of those.
Yeah, you should. You should. You know, you're more than welcome to.
Hell
you know, but again, it's just learning the system, and I think anyone can do it, and you just can't be afraid. Because the worst that they can do is hang up on you.
Say no.
Right. Hang up on you, say no.
I did one day where I was, you know, and this isn't that much, but initially I was like, I'm going to make 50 calls.
Yeah.
And then after that first week, I felt like, I was like, all right, I feel like I can do this. I remember my script.
Yeah.
I had like their little, most people weren't even answering, so it was more of my voicemail.
Right.
But I feel like if I would have just kept doing it, it's like anything. Like I was saying, I've over the last maybe year, I've gotten so much more comfortable just talking.
Yeah, and that just comes with, you know, your experience, right? Because the more you're doing this, having these dialogues on these platforms, and you're feeling more confident because, you know, you've done it before.
Yeah, I've said a lot of dumb stuff, and now
we all do.
We've filtered it out.
Well, good thing is you can edit it too. So I mean, you know, if there's something you didn't like, just cut that part out. Yeah. But yeah, and that was my biggest thing too when I first started, you know, shooting content. It's just like, oh, I don't want to say anything stupid, and then they don't edit it out, and then, you know, so now I'm just like, okay, you know.
Well, I said everyone's last name wrong for the first 16, so it was cool. I left it in.
Yeah.
I just had to and that's in the first 5 seconds. You get the error in right away, and then we're on.
Right.
Ed, thank you so much for talking.
Absolutely, man. It was great.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you. This is the point in the show, or the episode, whatever we call this thing, where you can say there, I like to say, tell them who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm Edward Henderson. I'm a real estate agent, Chicago Kamar Group. If you're looking to buy or sell, or hey, just want some real estate advice, I'm happy to help. Or if you're looking to get on a real estate team, if you're young in the business, or you know, you've been working for a while and maybe the systems that you've created aren't working for you, you know, give me a call. We'd love to help you grow your business. All right?
Beautiful.
Perfect.
All right, everybody. Take it easy.